Welcome, everyone, to the Two Brothers Fishing Podcast here on the Hickman Outdoors YouTube channel, presented by American Legacy Fishing Company, world-class fishing gear, unmatched personal service. Hey, before we get into tonight's special guest, let me take a moment to let everyone know this is the time of year to join the American Legacy Fishing Elite Program. $50 to sign up for your first year. You get 25 back in legacy rewards, 10% back on all of your orders in the legacy rewards. So that's even more coming back to you. Free shipping, access to exclusive Facebook groups and sales. And man, the Black Friday sales are coming, y'all. I know everybody's kind of winding down their season, but they're getting ready to put some damage on the wallets because they got some huge sales coming. Of course, American Legacy also has the best trade-in program and the most extensive collection of used gear that you can find online. And don't forget, if you're in Evansville, Indiana area, you can stop by and check out the newly remodeled showroom. As always, if you're ordering online, Gramps 10 saves you 10% at checkout. If the code's not working because they reset the website, just pick up the phone. Often they'll give you a better deal than 10% off. With all that said, what's up, bro?
Another day in paradise. I'm sitting here next to Dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're down at Dad's for the week, hanging out, getting your new place that you'll be moving into here sometime over the winter time, more than likely, all squared away as they're building everything and getting everything laid out. So glad to hear that's going on. Glad that you're hanging out there with Dad, the man, the myth, the legend, the head of Hickman Outdoors, so to speak, because he's the one who taught us everything that we do. So, yep, say hi to Pops, everybody. And man, Jeremy, we had a week. Yeah, Dad's over
Say
there
hi,
hiding
Dad.
somewhere. There he is. There he is. So, man, we got to do a little recap over this last week. So, you and I drove down a week ago Tuesday and hit the water, Wednesday morning. And, to give the folks a little backstory for those fishing along, following along here online or listening to the podcast later on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, things like that. Yeah, Carol says I look just like my dad. Yeah, me and two of my sons look just like my dad. There were times that, so dead ringers, but that's where we're all named John, except for Hunter. But, kind of skipping back, we looked at the Knucklehead event. Once Jeremy qualified for the team, we have been planning and preparing for this as the biggest competition that we were fishing this season. Not the Grubby Championship, not the KBF State Challenge Series Invitational Championships, but the Knucklehead Championship. That's the one that meant the most to us. As you guys know, the Knucklehead falls under the Fish Ops brand at KBF, which is their veterans outreach and recreational therapy, kind of programs. And so that's why the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series and the Catch 22 and Catch 5 are literally the most important parts of KBF that we enjoy because of who their target audience is. Guys like us and folks like, who we want to target to, get out on the water more. And so, the Knucklehead was in the Hero Cup itself, especially being the inaugural. This all spawned last year on Veterans Day when Jeremy, OEF5 Matt, and I, Freedom Squad, went down and met with Chad and a few other folks from Heroes on the Water. But it was basically like a 10 or 12 person veteran get together, just kind of hanging out. And then so over the following months, Chad realized that Catch 22 was very popular and very successful, and that we needed, and when I say we at KBF needed a way to bring in the bank anglers and the newer kayak anglers into kind of like what we need to do. And Catch 22 was the first piece to do that. And for those who don't know what Catch 22 is, it's a year-long thing on Fishing Chaos. It's a $22 donation that goes to Heroes on the Water this year. Last year, it was Mission 22. And then part of those funds also go back to lots of prizes that we give out through the year. The reason why I'm ringing that bell right now is October 22. Next Wednesday is one of the biggest giveaways for Catch 22 on the season. There's November 22nd and there's December 22nd. There are still 4 kayaks to be given away by anybody who participates in the Catch 22 program. And we are about 270 fish short for the end of the season to get to that magical 22,000 fish limit. So we've got some work to do. And again, if you're not in it, hey, go join up, give the $22 donation, and you have a chance to win one of 4 remaining kayaks, along with a ton of Fish USA gift cards and all kinds of other prize packs that Chad has there at the KBF headquarters, along with things from our, from the various sponsors for it. So that's something to look and get into. But, and we know 2 people that's won, actually 3 now. There was 2 people in Indiana. So our good friend Joe, the Marine Corps veteran up in northern Indiana near Valparaiso, won a loaded bona fide last year. And then there was one of the guys who won a fully loaded autopilot 120 from Old Town. And then our good friend here in Indiana, John Gittner, earlier this year won the new Jackson Coosa X. And that's going to be his riverboat for the future season. So again, there are still 4 remaining kayaks to be given away. So make sure you get in on it, get some fish uploaded. The rules are simple. You need a catch board. If you don't have a catch board, go to catch.com or look it up at catchusa.com. You can use code GRAMPS10 there to save 10%. Just get you one of the yellow carbonite boards, and that's all you need, along with your phone and the Fishing Chaos app. But Catch 22 is very important to all of us. You see, I've got my Catch 22 dog tag here. It's just, it's an awesome charity event that we all love. So moving on from that, spawned the new Knucklehead Kayak Bass Fishing Series this year. And what it is, it's basically a new league for more recreational anglers. Those guys who are bank fishing or fishing from, newer to fishing in kayaks, to those of us that are seasoned veterans that have been fishing out of kayaks for a few years. But the key thing about it is a lot of the teams were made up of various YouTubers that people are fans of or follow, part of the, all the individual communities and families, like the Gramps FISHIN FAM here. Chad Hoover had a team. Gene Jensen, the Fluke Master, had a team. Bearded Dad, fishing. The boys from the aggressively average anglers, Paul and Jeff, had teams. Larry Mountain Jr. was supposed to be in it, but he couldn't make it. Don't know what happened there, but we had John from Creek Fishing Adventures, who had a ton of people trying to make his team. And who am I forgetting? Oh, that's right, Mr. Darren Wendell over at Wendell Fishing, one of our best friends here on the channel. So that's kind of what Catch 22 is, and then that's kind of what the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series is. So it's a great way for competitors to learn the month-long, method of fishing these challenges. And we styled it after the KBF Challenge Series, which is, the higher level at the state level. And Jeremy and I and Matt fished those, all year long. And that's why we were down at the Challenge Series Championship a few weeks ago. But the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series is, again, a great way to learn how we do it. Jeremy's on Wi-Fi, so if he drops intermittently, he's out in the country, so he's still with us, but he'll sit there and smile while I'm doing the chat piece. But so that's the basis of what the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series is. So all throughout the year, each team captain had challenges, and there were 4 monthly challenges for each captain. And so, for example, for Team Gramps, our good friend Liz out of Florida won the first one. My Old Town Pro Staff buddy here in Indiana, Tweezy Bass Fishing Movement, Antoine, won the second one. And then Jeremy, fishing out of his Old Town PDL 106, took the third one. And then He actually won another one with John Cruz, but Mr. Cruz had to drop out. So Jeremy ended up coming to my team. And then the final one was taken with our great friend that we met last year at the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship, Alex Sterning, who is Alex on the Water on Twitch. So we had a great, great squad. And so did everybody. I mean, there were hammers fighting all year long to make these teams. So the tournament was on Veterans Day. Jeremy and I went down Tuesday. We had been there a couple weeks before, and Jeremy started studying this lake about, I don't know, a month and a half ago. And Jeremy, kind of go through your process a little bit about what you were looking for to help us, because we used the championship for KBF to basically pre-fish for the Knucklehead Challenge series. And, you know, kind of tell us what your thought processes were and how much time and effort you put into giving, you know, finding us some places to fish.
Well, I started with kind of where I thought they might be this time of year. And what I was looking for, I know bridges are always a player on Gunnersville, the grass flats, ditches, and boat docks. So I found two areas that had all of those in a very close proximity to each other, which allowed us to then go in, confirm that the fish were holding there, kind of figure out what the best way to catch them was. And then we expanded that and went to the third spot where me and Liz went and spent the day. And it, she figured it out, and we expanded on the pattern even more. And you know, she ended up doing really well there. So that's kind of
Yeah.
the approach that I always take. So
Yeah, and we in pre-fishing before the championships, we went and looked at a lot of different ramps, probably 12 different ramps then, and you know, stuck fish in a place or two and left, and then you know, knew okay, that's a backup place. And then, you know, last week when we were down there, it was kind of the same thing. Ran up north. I mean, I took a fun day of fishing with Chad. And then after that, we were back to, you know, going out and checking the spots and everything else in other places that you had identified to see if there were fish there, if they were the right kind of fish. Some didn't pan out at all. Some of them, I mean, one of them really blew up well, and Alex had a monster day on pre-fishing that they turned out just to not be there the next day after the cold front. But that place, you know, with a little bit of scouting, was, you know, Johnny on fire. And we knew it would be because Gene and his team were over there. And then we knew the other spot that, you know, we kind of had a spot on turned out to be where Chad was fishing, turned out to be where, you know, Darren Wendell and his guys that lived at, you know, Gunnersville, they knew that that was a juicy spot too. But we also knew it would be crowded, and we had gotten into so many fish in the bait schools, you know, that we didn't know how good or bad it was going to pan out. So, you know, you and I kept, you know, kind of our spot, and then Antoine and Alex went over to the spot where they really smoked them the day before. And you know, and then, you know, we kind of kept it. And then Liz, you know, she wanted to fish what she found and knew, which were, you know, some grass flats and smacking them on chatterbait. And so, you know, we kind of divided and conquered. And you know, it started out really well. I mean, we put up we put up 4 fish so fast it wasn't funny, but we sent a clear message that we knew where fish were, and we got on them pretty quick and early. I think you caught the first fish of the day, and then Alex caught one, and then I caught one 10 minutes later, and then Antoine was on the board within 15 minutes after that. And you know, I know that Gene's team kind of popped out to the early lead, and it was pretty awesome. You know, my problem was I caught more fish that day than all of the other days I was down there combined. I mean, it was nuts. It was just finding bigger fish. But you know, we tried to stick with what we knew. We tried to, you know, wait for, I don't know what it is when the dams turn on, the fish turn on, you know, but we knew we had to be patient because we'd literally run into that before. Might catch a few in the morning, and then towards the end of the day, they would turn on. and then we would smoke them. And so I was even after lunch when we still had a lead and the lead was starting to be dwindled on, you know, it was one of those things where we were still super confident that, you know, we got an afternoon bite thing going, but, you know, it was just one of those things where they were all smaller fish. The tanks just never moved up to where we were. So, I mean, it was kind of funny, but I'll let you start today since you caught the first fish. Why don't you talk a little bit about what our what your and I strategy was working down kind of the bank that we were, and then that led to your first fish getting on the board.
Yeah, so JT was working in shallow over a grass flat, and I was staying back off in deeper water, not very deep. It was 2.5 to 3 foot of water. And so I was just burning a Spro flapping frog.
Yeah, and
Uh,
so they all can have their heart attacks. What was I fishing?
he was throwing a frog as well.
Yep, we knew that was.
We knew that they were getting big bites.
Yep.
So got down to the first corner pocket right by the bridge and popped a nice 18 and a quarter.
Yep.
What amazed me though was I realized you got the first clue on what we should have done, and I didn't recognize it until after I got home. So when you, as you continue the story, once you get to the place where you caught yours,
Yep.
then that was the clue that I should have paid attention to.
And we both missed it because now that you say that, I know what you're going to say. So I go ahead and pass Jeremy because again, we're working. I literally have my motor up and I'm fishing this like OEF5. I'm paddling. So, you know, I got rudder up, I got motor up, and I'm paddling shallow in the grass, and Jeremy is working the grass line about 10 yards, 15 yards to my left, right? So we're working the flapping frogs because we're fishing still good grass where we've caught fish consistently for, you know, the 2 weeks we were there and where we were at. So when we get down to this pocket and, you know, that's where I'm going to cut across and go down the rip rop. But yeah, Gramps was throwing a frog because Gramps missed a frog the day before, you know, frog fish, because that's what Gramps does. But, you know, it's one of those things. But as soon as we started to turn the corner and I was over off the grass where Jeremy was, I was on rip wrap. And so I picked up the bait that saved my bacon on day 2 and almost caught every fish on on during Knucklehead, which was the 6 Sense Crush 100X in chartreuse blackback. And anybody who knows me knows I throw a jackhammer 90% of the time. But a couple of weeks ago, when we were down there after the wind was working real hard and the water was stained up, those fish wanted this bait because when I started day 2, I worked my way up a bank after I tied this on and was like, man, every time I have water conditions like this, I throw this and catch fish. And then, like I said, I'm sitting on 2 14s at this time. I tie this on, I catch a 13. I go 20 yards, I catch a 17. I go 40 yards up to the first boat dock coming out of this cove and catch the 20 and a half. And then with time running out, I cull the 13 with a 16 and a half where Jeremy caught his 20 and 3/4 fish on this crankbait the following day that paid him out $1,000. I'll tell you this much. Jeremy and I don't throw crankbaits a lot, but I told Jeremy, I said, I have so much success. If I can't catch anything and the water's pretty stained, this dang thing right here gets the job done. Jeremy picked up his monster bass chatterbait rod. Tied the last one of these I had on the day before because we were chasing big fish while the guys were fishing the 10. And then he goes and smacks a donkey, which is kind of funny because I was on the phone with Chad talking about some other stuff right before this. And before I ended the conversation, I said, dude, that's one thing I love about lakes like this. Not that I ever get to fish them a lot, but the cool thing is anytime you make a cast, the next bite you get could be your PB or the biggest fish of the day, you just never know what's going to happen because you're on a lake. You can't catch 10 pounders if you're not on a lake that's got 10 pounders. You know what I'm saying? So, that day for us and that weekend was pretty cool because I ended up finishing in the top 30. Cool enough. OEF 5 he finished 22nd. So that kind of hit us in the feels once we realized that. And then I finished 26th, being in the top 30, which my goal is always to be in the top third. Don't always get that, but that's the way it goes. And then Jeremy, smacks a good one for for $1,000 check the following day. But so we knew that crankbait was going to be something. So as soon as I got home, I ordered a whole bunch and I got my 6 bag. This thing was pretty full when it came in because I got about 10 of those and about 5 more of these, in the flat sides in case that became the juice. But it was one of those things that that was the bait that we needed at that time. So that was kind of the juice. But now what Jeremy's talking about, it when he caught his frogfish and I started working the riprap, I didn't get any bites up there, but I turned the corner and I started hitting these shallow pockets that have rock on the bank. But I was like, man, the wind's blowing in this way, which was somewhat a little bit different because later it was blowing the opposite direction from when we were there before. But it was just one of those things where I was like, this pocket looks pretty good. And I threw that crankbait up in there and then dunk, I nailed an 18 to get, our 4th 18 on the board that day. And that got us off to a good start. And then later, Liz is over in her pocket. She tells us that she missed the giant because she didn't have her net. She had left it in her car. So she was frustrated because she had a long pedal to get where she was, but she did, the thing that needed to be done, which was go back to her car, get her net, and then go back to fishing because she didn't want to risk losing another fish. And that move paid off later on because she caught a 15. And that kind of padded our lead a little bit more because at this point in time, other folks are starting to catch fish. And then she catches a 20, which puts us at 94 inches. No, well, just short of 94. We were at 93 and a quarter. And then later in the day, I'm skipping jigs under docks, and then I catch our last upgrade for the day, which was an 18 and 3/4. And that put us at 94 even. And, this was just after lunch, and we were still feeling pretty good about our chances. But right before I caught that upgrade, Mr. Wendell had caught his PB, a 22-inch monster, skipping his beloved Yum Dinger under boat ramps. And, I mean, you got to just feel good for the dude when you catch a PB, 6.8 pounds, 22 inches. I mean, you got to love that. Our good friend, Daniel Pierce, here on the channel, new in his old town, probably hadn't been at it but a few times, goes there on practice day and catches a 22-inch donkey. And then we hear, later on in the day that Mr. Jermaine from Mainstream Fishing caught him a 20 as well, 20 and a half, I think it was. So, I mean, they were around. They were just few and far between. But the good thing was, we all had personal goals, and everybody had the team goal of hashtag beat Chad and hashtag beat Gene because they were on their home lake. So at least we got that little victory out of the way. It was a good day. But, we fished our water our way and really can't have any regrets. We knew we were in areas where big fish, hang. It's just we could not get that big. We couldn't get that big bite when we need it. Speaking of the Devils, we were just talking. See, you speak them and they come in, boom. Talk about Jermaine catching a monster. There he is. Talk about Wendell catching his PB. Bang, there he is. But that's the way this community works. But, man, we had an absolute blast. And, of course, we weren't writing speeches yet. We knew that there was two, we knew they only had a 115-inch to cull. And, honestly, I wasn't more worried about Wendell's team as I was somebody else out there sandbagging and waiting to see a bunch of fish come in afterwards. So I knew not to get my hopes up because I see that crap in tournaments all the time, even though Chad asked people, upload your fish when you catch them, just for the folks, watching at home. So you know, that was the cool thing. But I mean, and that's kind of our tournament recap. It came down really to nobody giving up. I mean, our team went to the wire, and I'm sure all of them did, but our team went to the wire. I mean, we did not stop. We did not stop. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I think I took one sip of the Mountain Dew that I cracked open before lines in, and that was it. But I tell you what, I was blessed with an awesome team, and you know, these are all friends of mine. And you just couldn't beat it. You know, the funny thing was everybody on my team was somebody I knew or met prior. I had met Liz during Christmas last year. I went to visit my daughter. And serious question: what is the strategy of sandbagging the uploads? I think some people do that because they may give a leader the feeling or a level of comfort, and they may not do as much, or they might take a lunch break, or they might, you know, take more time doing other things. And Jeremy and I are wired not to fish that way. When we start, there's not much of anything else. I mean, I'll do some quick social media shit while I'm on the water, but other than that, you know, a lot of the people do that when they wait to turn off the leaderboards and all that too, just so they can surprise. But you know, if you think you're comfortable, then you might not try as hard. And you know, we honestly didn't know if somebody on Darren's team or whoever was sitting in third was sitting on a big upgrade. So we didn't stop whatsoever. We knew if one of us had caught a 20, we might have had those kind of thoughts. You know, if somebody had added another one to the board with Liz or a 19 where we felt it was a little more out of touch, but no, not really. I mean, we're out there fishing from start to finish. So, you know, I always talk about like the miracle of things that happen. And that's kind of the, you know, there is a story to tell here because Wendell's team didn't give up. And with 15 minutes to go, dude just starts burning a chatterbait in every different direction. And, you know, he caught the fish that he had to catch, which that day they were still few and farther between. Trying to upgrade from a 15 was still kind of difficult because I'll tell you what, I caught the 18, a 16, a 15, a 17, like 3 12s. I mean, I caught so many fish, but they kept going in the wrong direction. Um, and you know, I'm sitting there uploading them to Instagram going, come on, damn it, they're getting smaller and not bigger. Then I caught that one upgrade, and I think I caught one or two maybe after that, but they were all just, you know, smaller fish. But you know, I fish until lines out because honestly, even if I catch a big one after lines out, that don't mean I'm not going to upload it to catch 22 and still try to, you know, see if I didn't fish all the way back to the boat ramp after lines out, I'm missing out a chance on a 22 or 23. You know what I'm saying? So we cast till our arms fell off and, you know, did what we could. But that being said, the Lord was on the side of Team Wendell. Darren got his PB, which you got a credited dude for doing that, especially on a sissy stick with a dinger. And then his teammate with the last second heroics catches that 18, whatever fish it was, to pass us and win by a half inch. And I still guess that's better than losing by a quarter inch, but still, it was a blast. Now, let's back up because the tournament and all that is really fun. But the most exciting part for us, and Darren will tell you this too, the most exciting part for us is we go down there a few days before, and the place we stay, it's got a big long driveway, so we can host, you know, quite a few people for, you know, Matt brought his smoker over and did up some good fettuccine Alfredo, smoked chicken, you know, and I almost said Kaneka sausage. And then, you know, we had Chad over, we had Gene over, we had a few other people come over. Ran into a guy who was a FISHIN FAM member, lives over in Ohio. Ran into him at the dollar store as I stopped to get some deodorant because I forgot mine. And he sees me in the store and it's like, JT. So, you know, we invite him over to dinner and it was awesome hanging out with him. You know, Matt was doing a full live stream from within the house. And you know, it was pretty awesome. But every night we had like a different group and, you know, just got to hang out with everybody and it was completely awesome. Then the following night, Darren comes over and he's hanging out at the house, brings out some stogies, you know, we're sitting in the lawn chairs. And again, the cool thing about this is, like Darren and I have live streamed together quite a bunch of times over the last year. We're going to do another one on his show on Tuesday to do with a bunch of the team captains to do a recap. I'll let him tell you all that when the time comes, who's going to be there. But I mean, it was really cool. But just to be able to sit down, share a stogie, tell some tall tales, and it's like you already know each other. But spending that time with them just makes it that much better. Then the next night we go to the captain's meeting, and everybody's there. And I got to back up. We saw Cairo there the night before. We had so many people in and out, and then Jermaine. No, I didn't see Jermaine until the captain's meeting. He was going to come, but they were late getting there, and he had to set up camp. So the cool part was we go over to the captain's meeting, and that's where everybody's got to be there. And so you walk in, and you immediately see Jermaine because he's literally this much taller than everybody with that fabulous smile of his. You can't miss him. And then the other tall figure you see in the room is John from Creek Fishing Adventures. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Sly Fox came over too. He brought who came with Trevor came with somebody. I think Trevor came with Sly Fox. I can't remember who came with Darren. It was awesome. There were so many people. It was completely amazing. But there's our good friend Alex in the chat. But you see Jermaine, and you can't miss his electric smile. And then you see John, and then you start looking around the crowd, and there's Caro and Jay hanging out with Liz, and then Paul and Jeff show up with their averagely aggressive angler crews. And my personal favorite is Chaz, because I've known Chaz from online gaming from like 10, 15 years ago, back when he was doing more of that stuff before he got into producing their show and stuff like that. But seeing all these people and getting to meet everybody in person, and stories and this and that, and we have the captain's meeting. But the most important thing, well, I won't say most important, we sat down with a friend of ours because Cairo was there, and she coming to hang out, and she was like, hey, should I jump in this tournament? We were like, of course you should. And it was almost magic when you have somebody who who's there, and it's one of those things where she pops in, and I got to make sure I got my screen set up right so I can see everybody. But she goes and does the fan fish off, and so we're like, look, you've never been here before. We've got a little cove, that Jeremy and I are going to be fishing in, and we kind of showed her on the map where it was, and it was pretty close to where her hotel was. And, it made it nice and easy for you. I'll say as easy as you can get, because we knew it'd be protected because she was paddling, and we knew there were fish there. So, hello, Miss Cairo. How are you this evening?
Hey, JT. Hey, Jeremy.
So tell us about your fan fish off experience. What was that like?
Oh, gosh. Thank goodness y'all gave me the spot to go.
Yeah.
Scary.
Very scary, because I was by myself the whole day.
Yeah.
Wet, cold, rainy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you guys started out the day in the cold, and the cold front was starting with your rain, and you guys, I mean,
oh yeah,
you had to get out there and do it in the rain against 13 other people who were mostly locals.
Yes, exactly. And one guy from Connecticut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pardon me. No, it was weird because it was the first time I'd ever put my kayak in by myself. And freaking out, tripping, trying to make sure I was in the water by the time I was supposed to be, because first tournament ever, anything like it. So get in and miss the first couple of fish, and just, okay, I gotta chill. Just stay where he said to stay, and just kind of hung out and did what I could. 4 fish total, only 2 worth measuring, and that was 34 inches total, and got me in 5th place. So I made
got you in 5th place. Now I gotta say, and this will come out when I post the video of the event later on, but there was no louder cheer for anyone than Miss Caro Ferg when they called out her name to be on the team for the underdogs. And everyone in the fishing fam was losing their minds. We were enjoying it. And it was just, and she was the first one because she was the fifth one in. And she was the first name Chad called. And I'm telling you, Jeremy, what did you think? Was you, I about jumped out of my chair.
I was yelling right there next to her.
He was standing right next to me. And Jay on one side, Jeremy on the other.
But I mean, everybody was just so excited, because she went out and she had to do it by herself. I mean, yeah, sure, we put her at the ramp and kind of shared some stuff with her too, but she had to go catch the fish. And I mean, and she caught she caught a couple of good ones to get her there too.
A little one.
So you get in and you're talking to your teammates, and kind of tell us what their strategy was and what you ended up going with.
I asked them, I said, okay, do I have to fish with you guys? And they're like, well, if you want to, we're going to this place. And I'm like, that's an hour north of where I'm staying. How about no? I'm going where I was, earlier today. Nope, I'm good.
Yeah, because we told her, we said, because she was like, you guys, I'll stay out of your. She's like, I'll stay out of your stuff if you need me to. And we were like, no, 100% fish with us. We knew that you were on the water alone the day there before. We knew that we would be in that area all day. Yeah. And, we were definitely not going to not share water with you. I mean, me, Jeremy, and Matt shared the water for the most part the couple of weeks before. So, we know the thing is you're only going to catch your fish. You're not going to catch my fish. We could be sitting next to each other. You're going to catch your fish. Yeah. So, we had no problem keeping you with us, and we were chit-chatting all during the day. And, it was kind of funny.
Left me.
Well, yeah, because we went and pushed back into the cove, but
no, I stayed out in that lovely wind. That was fun.
Oh, trust me, it was blowing back where we were too. But yeah, you were knee deep out in it too. But kind of tell us how you're keeping kind of track of your team, the underdogs. Tell us how your team kind of did through the day, because you guys had a great finish as well. We really
did. Alan and his brother didn't fish together, but close enough to the same. And they did really well and caught plenty of fish, but nothing real size-wise until midday, which is about when I caught mine. And and after I thought I had posted my fish, I quit looking. So I was just like, nope, I can't. I don't need to know.
Yep.
Because it was stressing enough.
Yeah.
And
because it turns out your teammates were up there kind of putting the smack on them. I mean, the three of them had 19s on the board.
Yeah. So
and then
which was nice.
The other guy has a 15.
Yeah.
And then you go smack a donkey at some point in the day. But I got off the water and I was like, I thought I know you told me that you caught an 18 something, but I don't see it on your board. Right. She's like, well, I posted it. And I'm like, it's not there. I said, you still have mode. Yeah. Panic I said, you still have time, because you get an hour after we get off the water to submit it, but you need to make sure. And then I'm watching and then I see the leaderboard update and I'm like, oh, there's Cairo. They're in third place. So I mean, how does it feel out of a team of, would we have like 12 teams there? This is your first kayak tournament. And ever. You guys finished in third. I mean, that's we call that being on the podium. You got gold, silver, and medal, and it
works for me. It was
the hell the third one, bronze. That's it.
Bronze. It was very surreal.
And it was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah. When you told me that it hadn't posted, I'm like, what? So I'm panicking, looking at it, and run to the hotel, change clothes, haul butt, and head towards Ditto Landing. And I put in a call, tournament director questions. I call and I'm like, I've screwed up something. And Jay goes, just post your fish. It's biggest fish wins. I'm like,
yep.
You're right. I get it on there and end up when Chad calls me back and I just was like, I screwed up and it's a fish from yesterday. And he's like, just delete it. I can do that. Okay, cool. So yeah, because I was like, this is gonna push us up. This is gonna do good.
Yeah, because you guys were sitting at, I think, in sixth with the smaller fish.
Yeah.
And then you passed Fluke Master and you passed John from Creek Fishing Adventures and put the team up there in third. So the underdogs, I mean, that was really, really cool. So
yeah, that's been a fun thing. I keep saying, I was against all these YouTubers, these guys that make money doing this, that go out and do this for a living. I kicked their butt. Yes.
Yeah.
This old chick from Arkansas did it. That was a side
Yes,
stuff.
you did. I mean, that was magic too. So tell us what you caught your fish on and what kind of conditions was it?
Windy, unfortunately. And
we had wind.
Since I'm paddling, I forgot my anchor again. Go figure. I have an anchor pole, so stick it in the grass flat, and I'm trying to get as far out from the edge, but the wind's just, I don't know how that works. Aerodynamics, whatever. So I'm facing out. So I let myself drift back in so I can try and hit the edge. And I was throwing a Havoc Pit Boss, Texas rig.
Yep.
And I tried that. I tried a Thunder Cricket. I tried a stinking walking bait. I tried a buzz bait. And it was the Havoc again. It's what caught it the day before.
Yep.
Just a different color. I went from green pumpkin to black and blue flake. And
something with a little more dirtier. Yeah, because I ended up changing my stuff out, and I ended up catching my bigger one on a black and blue jig because everything was kind of stained up, and it wasn't more of a natural presentation that they kind of wanted. I threw Senkos and underdocks, but for whatever reason, it was that jig that they wanted. So I know the feeling too.
I didn't break out a single jig, and I
a
bunch with me.
Yeah.
And
I mean, out there where you were, and that probably was the best bet and the best, choice to make. Well, Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and fill us in and kind of what you thought about where I caught my first fish and what should have been a clue to us, and maybe we should have changed our strategy a little bit because you love analyzing all this stuff afterwards as well, and that's how we get better.
Well, I felt like the fish moved off that grass flat where we'd been catching them because the wind shifted. And I think they were actually out on that point, going out from where you caught your 18 more towards the main lake. And if I had thought about it, I would have went out and fished all the way around that hump to figure out from the hump to that point where they were. Because I think the bait fish moved over there.
Yep.
And by you catching one over there when we hadn't been catching them, that was the first clue that, oh, wait, they're not heading back, they're moving out.
Yes.
And that would have been a huge, had I realized, it would have made a difference.
Yeah, and I thought about that too because before, the whole 2 weeks prior to that, we fished that flat a lot and didn't catch a single fish. And the fact that I caught one as I was cruising across from my point out to the other bridge and caught one there, I should have stopped and done some more investigation or at least come back to it later. And I know that I spent way too much time back in the cove chasing the dream of that 20 and a half when I probably should have realized the fish are more out, out on those flats, because that was literally the same kind of water that Liz and those guys were fishing over on the other cove on the other side of the bridge. So it was a learning lesson. And, we've got a lot to think about and prepare for in the spring when, we're going back down for the national championship. But Miss Kara, what do you think about being a KBF national championship qualifier? I mean, how?
Wow. Certainly didn't expect that. Shoot, I didn't expect to get in the first place.
But you did.
I wanted to, though. That's was kind of the whole point in going.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I'm planning on coming back. Yeah.
Excellent.
But I don't know how Jay feels about it because we're supposed to have company that weekend. We're in almost dead center to the middle of, the next one, last one for the next 45 years, solar eclipse kind of thing.
Right. Yep.
We're supposed to have company that weekend. I won't be here. I'm planning on not being here. So,
like, sorry, Jay, I plan on going to hanging out with Jeremy and JT and the rest of the
it's like,
KBF crew.
I'm going fishing. Bye.
Yeah, we should be on some good fat.
So,
We should be on some good fat ones by then too. So it should be, yeah. And like Sly Fox says, April will be here in a minute. Yeah, it's funny how fast it's going to be. And like Chad said, yeah, the NC is fire. I mean, that is such a great event. They have all the vendors there. I was telling Caro earlier, they have all the vendors there, and then all your favorite kayak anglers. If you follow like the pro trails and all that, the Christine Fishers and Guillermo and our friend Russ Snyder's. We love following Russ because he's a badass. And then our buddies over at Old Town Fishing, Casey Reed, Ryan Nye, Wyatt Hammond. There's just so many hammers out there, and it's even fun just watching them and then see how you kind of do against them while it's all going on. Our good friend Alex Miller and his mom Lynn Yester will be there. It's another big kayak fishing family reunion is what I like calling them. And I see there's our good Marine Corps buddy Joe, who we were talking about earlier in the Catch 22, winning a bona fide kayak. And yeah, our good friend OEF5. And we got to back up and again stop for a moment and thank Matt and Serena for bringing the smoker down and cooking. I mean, they cooked for our house one night. And well, they actually did us up 2 nights. I can't forget that because they did us brats and sausage the next night. And then they threw that 150 person throwdown, which that food got demolished.
It
was gone. There was people trying to get a to-go bag, and there was our Antoine Tweezy got the last little bag of goodies and took it home with him and ate it the next day because he drove home that night. But the food was absolutely amazing. Matt and Serena really, really do it up right. And I thank them for taking the time, spending the whole day while we were out on the water, absolutely doing that. Again, because, we're there, we're chilling. It's a Veterans Day, kind of event. Matt's also an Army veteran, one of our core members of the Freedom Squad, which we're all about that. But man, what a phenomenal, phenomenal weekend. I won't lie. I wanted that trophy. I told Jeremy I'm out here fishing for all of our fellow veterans. I wanted that trophy. I wanted it bad. I was crying to Chad. Son bitch, I was so close. I got past the last minute. He's like, shut up and quit crying. But I mean, I'll tell you what. And I told Darren this too, because I called him when he was out fishing the next day on Hero Lake, which is another one of our favorite places to fish down there. It's a spot that Ditto Landing and the city of Huntsville let Chad use. And it's kind of a private lake, and they, you can take veterans out for like a quiet retreat. Chad took those guys out there, and Darren's buddy caught a PB, and then Darren caught like another 21. So in 3 days down there, Darren catches a 20, a 22, and a 21. I've only caught like a 19, a 20, and a 19. And that was 2 weeks ago. I couldn't get one this weekend when I needed it. But I mean, it is what it is. The Lord works in mysterious ways. But the bottom line is we got everybody out there. Everybody had a good time. And that was the best thing. That was the best thing about this weekend. And it's something like that a lot of people will never forget. Because, Jeremy, what do we always say at the end of every video that rings a bell with us?
Get outside when you can. Make a memory.
Yep. And there was a lot of that this weekend. People who didn't, maybe didn't catch a fish during Knucklehead, caught their new PB during pre-fish or practice. I know Alex on the water. I mean, while he knew that he wanted to win the big one, he had a day during the 3-fish pre-fish because he caught 2 20s, lost a probably 7-pounder at the boat. If you haven't seen his stream on Twitch, you go watch it because he put it back up after the tournament. And then, like Bucktail Fishing said, he got his PB on Saturday. Yes, and thank you, Chad, and also a shout out to Duke and Catch for once again making the best trophies in the game. and he makes them for KBF. He makes them for Bassmaster. He does the absolute. Duke and his crew are phenomenal. And wait till you guys see one of the new catch boards coming up in the future. You're going to love it, and you're going to want to get one, because I know I'm going to want to get one, but we can't talk about it because they ain't released it yet. But it's going to be awesome, and I'm going to be all over it just like that. I ain't saying I'm hanging up the Freedom Squad board, but it's going to end up here with the the 10 board too. So I don't like collecting boards, but this one I got to get too. But the weekend was so amazing. So many cool people, getting to see and meet so many of the FISHIN fam that we see in the chats for everybody's channels in the weeks. And it was really cool, stuff like that. You just can't. Yeah. And Chad's got another good point here. No injuries, no serious issues, and everybody stayed safe in the weather. It was pretty awesome. I mean, realistically, we had a FISHIN family reunion where everybody got to meet each other for the first time, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. I mean, it's going to be awesome.
Hope so.
Man, what a weekend. I don't even know what else to talk about right now.
Well, everybody got to meet me.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And,
yeah, Kara said she was only issuing out a couple of hugs. So me and Jeremy got in line early.
Well, yeah, but I got to teach Liz how to fish. I mean, I couldn't believe a young lady from Florida didn't know how to catch fish, but I taught her some things. Actually, she taught me a whole lot about chatterbaits, and I actually
we all know how much I throw a chatterbait, and she's the one that ends up schooling him on how to really work a chatterbait. So that was awesome. That was awesome board. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to disagree with Chad at all with this comment right here. I think that.
I totally agree.
Phenomenal. You will not get an argument for any of us. The funny thing was Jeremy's goals this year was just to get up on stage. It's like we talk about, like personal goals and this and that. And so when he caught the big fish in, the big bass tournament for that, he was like, I got to get up on stage and hold the check. Mission accomplished. And then he's like, he realized, hey, bro, Chad called first and second up there. We're on the stage. We were in the, Mike Elsey and Casey Reed position, but that happens. They did what they had to do. And I got to, Chad, let's see if I can pull up a pic of it. Actually, I can, because I have it saved on Facebooks, because I showed Jeremy and Matt earlier. All right, let me share this phenomenal piece of work. Present, share screen, and get over to the Facebooks and share. And there it is, the new, soon to be released, I don't know when, catch board with the Fish Ops logo on it. How bad ass is that? I am really digging that. Let me see if I can make it even bigger. Kapow. Well, a little bit, but not much. Yep, but there it is. That's a new board they're working on and designing at Catch. And yes, definitely going to get one of those. Those are freaking awesome. Oh, let me get up here and where's my 3-man format? I'm over here checking around the screens. There we go. All right, there we go. Jeremy was holding up his challenge coin. And again, as a reminder, everybody who was there, get your Catch 22 and Fish Ops stickers out. And yes, Josh, that's an aluminum one. Get your start making posts on social media with your Catch 22 and Fish Ops stickers, and share your experience this weekend with other people too, because again, it was a tournament, yes, but really like I said, it was a big family reunion. I can't wait to see the list of team captains who come back next year And then the ones that we add on next year that, because Chad was doing a test run this year, and I would definitely say 100% successful. This is going to do nothing but get bigger. But again, do like Chad asked at the event. Post up your stickers, post up your challenge coins. And okay, so he says he's going to send out the details on the stickers tomorrow. So be looking out for that. And let's help promote this. And realistically, for the rest of this year, while we all love the Knucklehead, let's turn our focus back to Catch 22, because we're still 200 and some fish short of the 22,000 we need to be at. So if you haven't uploaded your fish yet, start getting them uploaded. You can upload them anytime during the year. Just make sure you get those fish uploaded. And if not, those of you especially who still live down south, or if you're, going to be I'm going to be hitting the rivers, even though it's going to be getting colder. I'm going to be out fishing the River Smalley Challenge. I don't care how big they are. I'm just going to try to put 5 more on the board. And then I'm going to work to catch, as many, smallies as I can for that. But every fish you catch, get out there as much as you can until the end of the year, and let's get the fish count up to 22,000 again. Don't forget, next Wednesday, October 22nd, Chad will be live. See how many kayaks he still got left. I think the number's like 4 plus a bunch of other prizes. And then the final live will be on December 22nd. And that's when we close out the season for the Catch 22. So make sure you get out there. Let's get these numbers up. We got to pump these numbers up, people. Get us to 22,000 so we can do our part to honor those that we're raising funds for. Heroes on the Water. And let's support these veterans out there too. And for us, it's a personal challenge. We have to catch, not October, JT, we're in November. November 22nd and December 22nd. Yeah, I don't know what day it is. I still haven't caught up on sleep. My truck, I still haven't unloaded except for my laundry. And my kayak is still up on the hill with everything exactly the way it was when I drove down here. So Mainstream says the season's kind of done. Yeah, I'm sure there's people out there with snow and ice and so forth. But if you've got water, go get on it, and let's get these fish uploaded, and let's get this challenge up to 22,000. And then we can start looking forward to the spring and doing it all over again. Miss Caro Ferg, you survived your first live with the Two Brothers Fishing podcast. How do you feel?
Thank goodness. Possibly only live. I don't know.
See, you did good. I mean, you were sitting there, I was a little bit nervous, but Jay wanted you to do it. We definitely wanted you to do it. But you handled it like a champ. It's just like we're sitting there in the driveway, sitting in lawn chairs. We're just doing it from the comfort of our own homes.
Sure. Yeah, I just and it's warm.
Yes, and it's warm. We're not getting soaked.
Yeah, we're not freezing.
Exactly. I can wear my pajamas, and you guys don't know.
Yeah, 100%. We're all comfy right about now. But with that said, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show for this week. And again, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And again, congratulations. You were phenomenal. It was so awesome.
I'll try it again sometime.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye,
On
y'all.
behalf of Hickman Outdoors, Jeremy, you want to say anything to anybody before we get out of here?
Have a good night, y'all.
Thank you all for joining us. Get out there and catch some fish. Let's get these Catch 22 numbers pumped up. And just like we showed last week, and like we do on every live here, we talk about it. Get outside when you can. I'm going to try to grab my brother and go get on the river somewhere before it starts snowing. But get outside when you can and make some memories. One cast at a time.